Hi, I'm Deirdre with Second Wind Vintage, and today I'm going to be showing you a completely natural way to shine up your hardware. Because in the refinishing business, we expose ourselves to a lot of chemicals. It's kind of unavoidable, but in this case, there's a completely natural option to using a harsh cleaner. I will say though, if you're looking for your hardware to look 100% brand spanking, shiny, right out of the package, new, this is not the method for that. It will work, but it's going to take you a long time and a lot of scrubbing and a lot of soaking. So if you want a really shiny, new look, I would suggest using something like Barkeeper's Friend or Brasso. If, however, you're after photobomb, just for a glow, for a nice shine, but you still want the dark bits, you know, your nooks and your crannies, some tonal variation so it's not completely uniform. In other words, so like it looks nice, but it doesn't look new. And that's the look I generally go for. Just because I keep the character in the wood that I do. And a lot of times when I do paint, I do in like a blendy patina kind of way anyway. So for me, there's no need to use the chemical. So to get started, first thing we need is white vinegar. The acid in this will strip the tarnish right off our brass hardware. I have a jug of vinegar that I use specifically for furniture stuff. This goes nowhere near my kitchen because of backwash problems. So if you don't want to have one specifically for that, definitely just pour it out into a cup so you can dip your pad in. Don't be using it and then put it back in the kitchen to use later, because this tarnish stuff will get everywhere and in here, and it's gross and you don't want to eat that. So I suggest having one put aside specifically for that. The next thing we need is a 4-0 steel wool. They come in different zeros. 4-0 is the super fine variety, because we want to rub off the tarnish, but we don't want to scratch the hardware. And brass is fairly hard. I mean, you're probably not going to, but sometimes you can if you're a little too aggressive. So 4-0, 4-0, it's one of those things I've never heard someone say out loud. I've only read, so I'm not sure which one it is, but that's what you need. And then I like to use some sort of wipe to clean it off after. You can just use soap and water if you would like, but sometimes, you know, like there's oil on hands, people touch, so something that'll be like a mild degreaser is good. Also, sometimes old hardware is disgusting. You pull it off and there's concave and it's fuzzy in there. Like, I want to disinfect that. So I like to use a wipe. Next thing we need are gloves. Because even though we're using vinegar, which is totally natural, it's really not going to irritate your skin unless you got a little cut or whatever. All that gunk that we're going to be stripping off with the vinegar is going to get all over your hands. And I'm talking like, you want a good pair of dishwashing gloves. I use these for staining and everything, that's why they're super messed up. But you don't want to use those rinky-dink little plastic food prep gloves, because plastic is porous and the tarnish will go right through and your hands are going to look like the makeup that they did for the Native American tribes on Westworld with the faded black. It's not a good look. So dishwashing gloves, again, pick, put aside. Don't go using these for washing dishes, obviously. And then lastly, the star of the show, we need our hardware. Usually hardware is made of either brass or steel that's been coated with brass to give the brass look. You have solid, you have a very thin piece that they've stamped So the only way to really tell if it's actual brass or the coated steel is to start cleaning it. So if you start cleaning it and start shining up real nice, you're good to go. It's the brass, you're home free. If you start getting like a silver color, then it was steel that they coated, and in which case you're gonna have to paint it. Or you say, hey, I like the steel look, I'm gonna keep it steel. But those are your options. So for my hardware, these are solid brass. You can see they're real gnarly looking. And also sometimes even if you've got like rust or like a verdigris type business going on, this method will clean that off as well. I will say though, if it's super encrusted, you might want to soak a little bit in a solution of half vinegar, half water for about an hour to give it kind of a head start on breaking down all the rust that's on there. But these are in pretty good shape. It's just tarnish, you want to see. So we can start her up. So I'm gonna glove up, and you'll see how it's really easy. It's just when you have a dresser that has 5 drawers, so you have 10 pulls, it gets a little tedious. But then I just usually pop something on the TV I don't mind listening to while I polish. Okay, so I'm just gonna, like that. Then I press on the side because this takes a lot, and as soon as I press, it's gonna pee everywhere. So it's still gonna do that, but at least this way it's not gonna do that much. And also I have this cardboard down because as you're pushing, you're gonna push the vinegar out also, and it's gonna mix with this, and it's gonna make a fairly splattery mess on the bottom. It's not gonna get on the walls or anything crazy like that, but you definitely want to have it mat down. So I guess I should have said a surface you need this for this video. Okay, so just going to, with the pad, just rub. I like to brace. I always keep the screws in because that's a little handle you can hold on to, or like an area you could brace down. But yeah, so I'm just gonna start rubbing away, and you can see it's already starting to come away. And also, if it's not coming away right away, you can rub in one area, you get it wet, move to a different area, so it has a chance to sit a little bit, and then you can really get to it. Like this back, there's like a little texture to it. It's not totally smooth, which is fine with me, because the pulls that this is going on has an antique matte print. It's actually the desk that I did the decoupage tutorial with. So it's gonna look good like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then if you notice it's starting to get a little dry, give it a little more. If it's starting to get really gunky and it's hard to tell you're making progress, give it a wipe with your wipe, because a lot of times it's really working and you don't know it's working because there's just residue all over it. So just go ahead, and I'm rubbing fairly. I mean, you don't have to rub super hard. Obviously, the harder you do it, the quicker it's going to go. If you're doing a stamped brass and you're doing this, you want to always support the pull, because you're going to bend the stamp. It's like a tin. I don't know how else to explain it. So this guy is almost done, I think. Where I want to go, and you can always, like, because your stool is going to start to break down a little bit and pill. You're going to get steel little bits all over here. But you can see how it's starting to like get a little thing. You can use that to your advantage and pinch it and really get in those cracks in areas. And then as bits of your steel will fall off, just let them go. It's fine. It'll be fine. Just want to sure I get all up in here. Now that I had that little bit, I can kind of get into the corners a little bit better because it's stiffer. And in this case, because like I said, I have a very distressed antique matte print, I don't want to go too crazy. So it doesn't clean up super fast. So you have pretty much total control of how shiny or unshiny you want your stuff to be. Okay, so you can see it's shined up pretty nice. I'm gonna give it a wipe, and it's very important to clean it off afterwards, no matter what, no matter what you decide to use to clean it, because we don't want the residue of this acid sitting on here, because it's gonna keep on dissolving and eating away, and this is metal, so it's not a good thing. So and you can dry it off too, but I mean, this is gonna dry. And then I don't shine the back. A lot of times actually the back is still shiny because, you know, the air didn't get to it, it didn't oxidize. But I always like to clean it because we all know how disgusting that can be. Okay, so I'm just gonna, for a little side by side, see how that shined up. See the difference? Kind of catch the light a little. But yeah, you can see how the tarnish stayed in our little cracks and everything. We can actually see those bumps on top. They're flowers, which is cool. I like to be able to see all the detail because vintage and antique hardware always has so much detail, and they did it so well and like delicately. It's never like cartoonish or anything. Like sometimes I find anyway, modern hardware can look a little cartoony when they try and do like lions heads and flowers and stuff. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. You just do this for everything else. If it's stamped brass or solid brass, it'll work perfectly fine. If you start doing it and you see that steel color, I would keep doing it because you really want to clean it well before you paint anyway. So this is a step you should do no matter what. And then if you see the steel after you finish, you don't like the color, you really, really want it to be a brass one, then we'll paint it. And that will be a future video. Because there are two methods, still not hard. So maybe I'll do that next week. But thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you'll give it a try, because it really is a very nice natural option, because we don't really have very many natural options in our biz. So I hope you give it a try and have fun.